Flow into my life, girl, you looking right. Oh, I'm down with you. I like to spend some time, it's true. Oh, I'm down with you. I like to spend some time, it's true. Yeah, I'm down with you. Won't you come down with me? Open up your eyes, look into the sky. Do you ever wonder why we die? 'Cause I do, and I don't know what it's like to walk on through, and I don't know what it's like to walk on through. Open up your eyes, look into the sky. Do you ever wonder why we die? 'Cause I do, and I don't know what it's like.
Hello and welcome, and hopefully the audio isn't too loud. I'm just gonna keep listening. Okay, cool. It's not too bad. Awesome. Alright, so if you were here last week, we left off at just some really basic Python coding stuff. A lot of it was just setup, how to navigate. I took some screenshots for y'all, and we're gonna pick up from there. And also, I'm excited to tell you, I don't know if you, my one viewer right now, and Casper was here. Casper remembers. But I was attempting to get SSH to work. I was trying to get an SSH server on Windows and then use my Mac that So I have a virtual machine. I'm trying to think of how to explain this. I have a virtual machine. That's this thing, right? This VM. And I wanted to connect to it remotely from the same computer, but like they're disconnected. If you understand VMs, then you know that basically they're just two different computers. But they're using the same bare metal. They're using the same hardware. That's what bare metal means. And I wanted to SSH into it, and I succeeded. It was actually really silly what caused it not to work. I can't believe I didn't realize that. I need to turn off this heater. It's really hot. It was really simple, and I'm gonna show you guys how I got that to work in a bit. But let's go all the way to the end here. We're gonna get. I mean, this is just the basics of Python as I understand it, and so we'll just get back into this Hello World program. I really need to work on my uhs and ahs and ums. I've been trying to get better at that. That's one of the reasons I'm doing this whole thing. Okay, so there it is again. I right click on the document and I click edit with idle. Now, if I could change it so that it always opens in a certain text editor, right? So I could right click on it and click properties, and then opens with Python. So that's not idle, that's Python. So I could change this to, actually, you know what, let's just do that. Let's just make it so that I double click it and it opens with idle, because I would prefer that, to be honest. I like the way that the IDE looks, shows me the pretty colors and all that. And yeah, if you've seen this channel, you already know this is gonna take a sec because it has some issues. It's slow like me. Alright, so I'm gonna just go ahead and find idle with maybe command prompt. I don't think I can do that actually, because it's not a command. I think we did that last week too, where we used the command where. Maybe I was showing somebody else that. But what we'll do is, actually, we will make use of that. We don't need that menu right now. That's about the SSH thing. I'll show you. That's kind of cool. I think networking stuff is awesome. So where is a command that allows you to find commands, like where they are in the directory. Okay, so there's two different locations, and the location that I want, I actually don't know which one, but I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go into this path first. I know it's the bottom path, but whatever. I don't see idle in there, so let's take a look at this one and see if idle's in here. I probably could just Google it. Alright, maybe I should have gone further in there. Could just search for idle, I guess. That's another thing I could do. I'm gonna Google this. Idle. I know I'm like going way off base all of a sudden. Where is idle Windows 10? Okay, probably should specify Python idle, since idle is a kind of common word. Oh man. No one's asking me. Cool. Alright, you know what, we'll do it like this. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Okay, so I just searching for it, and I can open a file location. That was kind of dumb of me not to just do that. Oh shit, it was right there. Cool. Alright, so this is what we want to open. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that path because that's where idle's at. We go back to the properties, which we were looking at before here. Change. And more apps. And this isn't this is not the droids that we're looking for, so we're going to look for location on the PC. Paste that path into the file explorer thingy. And it brings us here, and there's idle, and it lets us select it. And it should change from Python. Okay, well, that was weird. I'm gonna just press apply anyways, and just it looks different, right? Doesn't it? Let's try it. Watch it just run in Python again. My computer is overburdened, but luckily I did get my new computer. I just need to set it up. Actually, well, so I ordered it to my parents' house, which is nearby. I just didn't get it this morning. But once I get that set up, I think we won't have these issues. And I won't be needing to use a virtual machine to use Windows. And I can just stream from there. And we can use Hyper-V, which will be dope. Because I like Hyper-V. I think it's just phenomenal. And I don't know what's going on with this thing. Okay. Let's try this again. Okay, so... Oh, is it just calling itself Python? Okay. I did. Alright, interesting. Well, let's apply again, press OK. It should just open with idle. It's really not playing nice. I think I just confused the shit out of this thing. Alright kids, in today's what not to do, don't do what I just did. Okay. If I just open idle, like, can I open it? Is this not the right idle? This is one of the things I don't like about Python, is there's just like a lot of different paths and stuff, and it doesn't. Okay, so here's idle. This is how I wanted it to open, just like this. It's really straightforward. Okay, maybe. Bear with me, guys. I apologize. Maybe I can find a different version of idle. Like maybe there's more than one. No. Okay. It's just not working. Fuck it. I don't really care too much. We'll change this to just be a regular text editor. I was trying to be cool. Note to self: don't try to be something you're not. Okay, so I'm just gonna open it up in Notepad. It's a text editor. That's all we're doing anyways. It doesn't really matter. So now I double click it. It can just open and we can see the text, and that's fine. So you can do this. It's less clear because obviously it's all just black and white. There's no coloration going on. Like this is a comment, but you're not gonna be able to get that visual cue. Just like this is a one-line comment, multi-line comment, one-line comment. And then all this stuff is code. So this is what we were working on before. And now we're gonna add another element to it called virtualization. I don't know if that's right. We're gonna add a virtual machine here. So I don't know where VirtualEnv. I don't even know. Okay, so I did install this last time, but if you were to install it, you do pip install. It should just be VirtualEnv. Should be, and it's probably gonna tell us that it's already installed, or like all the dependencies are met, or something like that, and that's totally fine. And yeah, okay, so yeah, requirement already satisfied, and it's telling us where that is on our local. It goes from C all the way to where it is in site packages. Same with all these, and then it's kind of telling us, which we saw last week. It's telling us, hey, you're on 22.3, update to 22.3.1. You don't have to, but this is how you could do it. And we'll just do that. We'll just copy this line and pray that it works. Let's see. Okay, it looks like it's doing it. Alright, it's uninstalling the old one. Cool. It found the existing one. It's uninstalling that one. It's uninstalled. Now it's probably attempting to install the new one. Yeah, I'm behind on updates, but this is okay. We're not gonna update live. That would really suck. So again, if you're new, all one of you, just feel free, and also if you're watching this on YouTube as well, just feel free to put anything in the chat, live, or in the comments. I will get back to you as soon as possible. If there's a particular subject you want me to focus on, or like a question you have, or maybe you're working on a project and you want some help, and I don't have all the time in the world, but I can help out, or maybe even like make a video on it, or at least do a stream on it at the very least, if not like a full edited video. I haven't been doing a whole lot of edited videos. If you follow me on YouTube, you probably can tell that. I will start doing that again soon though. The shorter videos, much more to the point, not a lot of this just rambling in front of the camera and playing my music in the background. If you do like my music, go ahead and follow those links. Okay, so here we are. Now let's create a virtual environment. I don't have this memorized, so I just write it down. And I mean, my best advice to you is do the same. Write down things, and even like you can make aliases. That's what you'd call it on Linux and Unix machines. But like, there's shortcuts for these commands. What would you call it? But you can make them into shortcuts essentially. Like I could call it make env or something like that. Now, what I have written down here for a Windows environment is, to create it, I should be able to do Python env, so kind of similar to that command above, except I just didn't add exe. You don't always need to be that explicit. Python 3, if I want Python 3 as the environment, oh shit, no. I'm looking at the Linux one. Okay, and then I just call the thing, and you know what? I want to actually just say fuck that and see if we can just call VirtualEnv. It is a command, and then just create our virtual environment. I'm gonna call it venv. You can call it whatever you want. Let's see if this works. If it does, that's cool. Then you don't have to type out all the other stuff that I was going to type out. So it looks like it's trying to create it right now. Let me pull back the chat up. Okay. And once that's done, we'll have a little folder called venv right here in admin in user. Shit. Right, that's not gonna work. I tried to do Windows E, which is a hotkey that pulls up the file explorer, but since I'm in a virtual machine, it's not gonna register it. I probably could set it up that it would register it, but it's not gonna register it as that same key presses inside of the virtual machine. It's registering that inside of the virtual, well, not inside of the virtual machine, but as a function of the virtual machine. That's why it popped up that weird window. Normally, it wouldn't take this long to create a virtual environment. Okay, but see, it's there. It's creating the folder. This is it right here, venv. Not sure why I'm just gonna. Okay, so it just got stuck. I pressed enter, and it moved past there. It should be working fine. And then I think it's something like source venv, and then shit, am I doing that right? See, this is why I write it all down, because I'm not, okay, I see. So what I have to do is venv scripts activate. And then you'll see it changes here, and it gives you this hint, like you're inside of this virtual environment. That's what this means. And so now anything that I install here and do, it's going to make it a part of this sort of fake. It's not like a computer. Like you can see, there's library, right? And so you're gonna be able to install stuff here. And let's actually just take a look at that right now. Let's go ahead and pip install pandas. Install pandas, which is a great module or framework or library. I honestly don't know what the official term is. I think all those words describe it fine. So it's installing it. And pandas lets you use CSVs, Excel, all kinds of comma separated value documents, and it lets you manipulate them, lets you read them, write them, look at specific columns, and edit those columns. So it's very useful, I found. I actually did something for work. Didn't end up using it. We might implement it later. It just depends on how much work we want to put on the front end, but it'll make the job a little easier. It's not anything that intense, obviously, but so as it's installing, let's see. Okay, so all these now, if you were paying attention before, it didn't have this many things inside of site packages, and now it's installing these dependencies, numpy, so pandas, obviously pandas, numpy, and then this distribution information, which I guess I honestly don't really know what's in there, but I don't know. I think date util just comes with it, but maybe it was installing that. And I mean, we can even see here. So these are the things that's installing. This version of pandas. Okay, so date util, it's installing that as a dependency. What are my cats doing? Oh, okay. And PyTZ, which I don't know anything about that module itself. You can always read up on these APIs. I mean, assuming they have documentation like PyTZ, and it's done. And when it's like that, it's done. PyTZ. Oh, it's a time zone thing. It looks like date time conversion and time zone calculation. That's really useful. But yeah, so these are the dependencies, and then also the module itself that it's installing, and then you can see those here. And what's cool about this is it's just in this folder. It's not globally installed. When I say globally, I just mean it's not installed like in your like the main part of your computer. It's not installed all over your computer or all over even this account. Like, it's literally just inside of this folder, venv. It's not going to get outside of that, which is nice. And if something breaks, like you're messing around with package installations and dependencies, and something breaks, whatever, you can just delete the folder and start over again. And also, like, if you need more space on your computer and you're like, I don't use all these things that I installed with pip, you just delete the folder and it's gone. Whereas if you did it when you're not inside of the virtual environment here, like this, it'll install globally on your computer, probably in one of those other folders that we were looking at before, or maybe like where Python. So like it might install in something like this somewhere, maybe okay. So and you can even see the difference here, or like the difference. What am I trying to say? You can see that it created a new folder, like we already know, then, and then these ones that we're looking at, and it gave it Python. So like it put the exe, the program Python, or at least it's not a compiler, but whatever the runtime for Python, I think is maybe the right term. What runs Python, a copy of it. These are all the same program. It's all the same program. They're just in different locations on the computer. One of them is inside of venv, this folder that we've created that allows us to kind of sequester away from the rest of the computer our installations, like I keep muttering on about, and also just like the program itself in library, right? Whereas this is global, and if we look at, if I installed something outside of it, it would go into some folder here. Maybe it would go into lib. I assume it would probably go into lib. Okay, so these are all like the main dependencies that I think Python comes with, perhaps, at least Python 3.11. These are all just different, maybe smaller modules that it comes from. And it looks like a text document because I said make sure to open all .py files in Notepad. Okay, so cool. We got that going. Let's actually just go back to our venv folder, and we have pandas now. We could do something with it. I should have prepared some panda stuff. Yeah, I'm not super I can't just do it off the cuff like that, so we could look that up. Let's see, what else could we do? I can just shoot off And if you have something that you want me to do, you know, with this, we can do that together right now for the next like 30 minutes. But if not, let's see. So we covered that, installations. What else would I want to know about what we just did? Well, okay. If I wanted to uninstall something like that, I think it's just pip uninstall. And just type pip. Should just give me some info. Okay, so it does shoot out the commands that you have install. Yeah, so uninstall. So if you want to uninstall packages, you just do it the same way you do. And that's one of the things I do like about Python, is it is kind of easy to manage packages, kind of, but then it can get messy. And that's why you use virtual environments. If you don't use virtual environments, you can definitely get into some hot water, and that's not fun at all. So I'm kind of like, okay. What? Oh, okay. Numlock, which I don't ever use on this computer, but it keeps doing it for some reason. All right. So I just want to check in on the cool. I kind of just want to go into this other thing really quick, sidebar, and maybe it'll get the juices flowing, and I can think of something we can do with this. If not, I'll probably just look up. You know what? Fuck that. We should keep this clean, so we'll do something with pandas. Or fuck that. We'll just keep it really, really simple, because like that's what I was doing with this, right? So where did I? Okay, so if I wanted to, actually, you know, we'll just do this. I'm like, I can't decide. I should have written this stuff down. I'm sorry, guys. I know I've been really kind of like all over the place with these. I'm trying to, and I know I keep saying this, get more organized with this. But I do promise you, like with my actual videos that I edit, they're not this disorganized. They're pretty concise, and I try to keep them short. This is just kind of me practicing, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. And of course, requests are always welcome. So what we'll do is we'll leave this, I guess, for now. And I want to feed this in. There's like I think it's on HackerRank. HackerRank.com. Wow, I cannot talk. HackerRank.com. It's a great free resource. You just sign up, free account, and you can do all kind of coding practice. It can be a little confusing, but there's forums, so you can read through what other people say about it. You can copy what they're doing. I've done that sometimes just because I'm like, I really don't understand the scope of this. But I think it's a great way to just kind of practice your skills. So HackerRank.com, super dope. And one of them, and I think it's probably in a lot of other places too, is this whole basically saying, can you detect if it's even or odd? And I just reset my computer. So one of the common ways to do that, and we'll just give it data, and maybe we'll even iterate over a list. So we'll create a list first. We'll just call it we'll do it this way, my list equals, and if you guys were here last week's snake case, so with underscore my underscore list, and as you can say, everything else is like that, which is not like Java. Java uses Pascal case and camel case, yeah, which is different. So I'm gonna make this a list of numbers, and I'm pretty sure this is correct. Fuck it, yeah. All right, now let's make that 11. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I just want to check if I'm even doing this correctly. And I need to go into the desktop. So here I go, onto the desktop. And it's cool, you can navigate to other places. You don't have to be in the folder, obviously. I wasn't even in the Ven folder. It's just that all the installations that you install are gonna go into that folder, and they'll be safe in there. They're not gonna touch other parts of your computer. Sequestered. There's a better word for that. I just can't think of it. So let's try running this hello world script. It's gonna give me a whole bunch of other crap. Output. Okay, cool. So this is from last week, and I wanted to know the class of, or the type, the data type of stuff, and so it's a really simple command. You just put type and then what you want typed, what you want to know the type of. It's great for troubleshooting. That's really the only thing that I can think to use it for. I'm sure there's other use cases, but for the scope of what I was doing, that's what we can use it for. So let's go ahead and multi-line comment this out, because we're not going to need this right now, but maybe I'll use it for something else. And we're going to run it again, and it didn't spit out any errors, so that's good. So that means that I made the list correctly, I think. I mean, we can iterate over it, and we are going to. Now we're going to say for num in my list, and we're going to iterate. So what this basically is saying, it's a for each loop. A for each loop is a for loop, which is like a while loop. Okay, so I'm saying like loop a bunch of times with words in front of it. What am I talking about? So I'm going to comment this out. This is a for each loop. A loop allows you to do something, some type of function multiple times, and there's a condition on that, on the amount of times. So for a while loop, if you want something to just do it a whole bunch, and there's just like this really simple condition, like while this condition is true, loop over this. I mean, they're all really doing that. They're all basically while loops. It's just that for loops get a little more granular, or maybe it's not even that. It's really all the same. It's just that the way that it reads to us as humans is different, so it's maybe easier to conceptualize. And a for each loop is a really kind of convenient way to iterate over a list. Or an array, and a list is, I think it's a subset of an array. I don't think it's that. I think yeah, I'm pretty sure a list is a subset of an array. I cannot remember for the life of me the difference. I know one of the differences. I think I know one of the differences is that a list is something that you can add to and subtract from dynamically, as in like, so each one of these is part of the list. 2, 4, the comma separates them. All these numbers, 3, 1, 5, every single thing that's comma separated. That's a specific indices of the list. And what the fuck was I saying? So you can take out those pieces or add new ones in a list, if I'm remembering correctly. But with an array, they are static. Now, this could also just be a Java thing. Remember, I come from Java world more than Python. And we will go over Java at some point as well, but just not right now. So, anyway, I do not want cat tail in my coffee. She was trying to put... So laggy. She's trying to put her little cat tail in my coffee. Oh, there's a space there. Doesn't matter. I mean, you can have spaces there. I just sometimes don't like having spaces in certain areas. So what we're gonna do is, this is the for each loop, and I'm calling num, like each one of these is a number. I'm just shortening it to num. I could say number if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. So for each number, for each number, it's just like each is implied here, and it's coding. It's not like you're gonna write a sentence. Maybe someday, like if you're looking at stable diffusion and other things like that, it's getting to that point where machine learning is, and actually deep neural networks and all that AI stuff is getting to that point. But here in the regular vanilla old school coding land, for each assumed each for num in my list, so we already know what my list is. It's right here. It's a list. We want to do something with that, and something that we want to do is check if it's even. So if Okay, if num divided by, so it's not divided by, modulus, that symbol, the percent sign, is in Java and in Python. I know, I love Java. Okay, I'm gonna say it every time probably. Divided by with a remainder of. That's basically what that modulus thing is. And one way that my teacher kind of helped me in art class with modulus is a clock. So I don't have like a, and I'm not talking about a digital clock. I mean, yeah, it's just easier to visualize it with like a like a pie-shaped clock, a circle, pie-shaped clock. So there's only 12 on it, for the most part. I don't think there's one that has 24 on it. I suppose you could do that, and then it just starts back over, and you see the whole day pan out. But most clocks, at least here in the U.S., all clocks that I've seen that are round face, they have 12 as the highest number, and then then it starts back at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way back to 12. So modulus is doing that, and modulus 12 is what that is. I think I have that right. Yeah, modulus 12. It should be. God, now I'm questioning that. But we want to find an even number, and the best way to do that is modulus 2. My math is rusty, but there's a reason it makes sense. I mean, it's obvious that it makes sense because 2 is like the smallest number. I think there's something more complicated or like more concise, but for our intents and purposes, it's the smallest number that divides something evenly. It's 2. Evenly as far as integers go. And so what you're basically saying is, each of these is a number, and we're going to call it num each time we loop over this list. And we're going to evaluate if that number, when divided by 2, gives us a remainder. So, I mean, probably remember remainders. That's what modulus command is showing. To be honest, I don't really know what the remainder, like if I'm right about it being a remainder, and I kind of want to check that out. So what I'm going to do is debug it by using print statements while we actually do the function we want. So if it's this, so if it's that, if it's even, then we're going to print is an even number. That should work, but I might have to cast this to a string, and we'll let it air out and see if it works or not. And then I also, so if it's an even number, it's going to give us a 0. That's just how you figure that out. Now, if it's not, so I think we just do else. I want to see what it is. So I want to print. Num, like the actual feeling. So I want to print the no, wait, no. I want to print the number modulus 2. That's what I want to print out. So, okay, a couple things to look at. So this is an operator called modulus, and this is also, well, it's an equivalency. This, I don't know if that's what you call it, but this is basically, this is a Boolean essentially, or like a Boolean evaluation going on, and saying if this side of the equation is equal, that's basically saying is equal right here, these two equal signs to 0, and then the colon denotes like then do this thing down here, and then else, so like otherwise, colon, do this other thing here. So if it's this, then do this thing up here. Otherwise, then do this thing down here. And that's an if-else. So we've basically, we've nested a if-else statement into, and I might have messed up the syntax, and we'll find that out in a sec here. And we're for sure, or at least I'm pretty sure, going to get an error on this one. But we've nested an if-else statement inside of a for each loop, which is a kind of for loop, which is a kind of while loop, which is, it's just a loop, okay? It's just iterating over this list. And we'll do something else that makes more sense about like for loops with this, because this might be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But just think about it like this. For each of these numbers, 2, 4, 6, 7, 3, 1, 5, 9, 11, each of those is going to go here, because we're saying each one of those numbers we want to look at. So this part's saying for each one of these numbers in this list, we want to look at them and we want to do something with that. And the something we're going to do is we're going to do another conditional. That's not a loop. This conditional is doing a function. The function is the number, like for instance at the beginning it'll be 2 modulus 2. So 2 divided by 2, that's going to be 1. But there's not, so like 2 divided by 3 is going to be 1.5. No, 1.5, right? Don't make fun of me. No, you can make fun of me. So like 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. So that has a remainder. And let's find out what that is. So I want to see what that is, and that's what this part is going to do. So I'm going to save this, because you got to save it. Otherwise, it's not going to run that new stuff. And it might even say, hey, you didn't save. So we're going to run it again. Okay, there's a type error. We had this last week too, and that's fine because we expected that, but you might not expect it. But it's good to know how to read this. And what's cool about at least this kind of type error, and maybe all type errors, maybe Python 3 is just better at spitting out good errors, I don't know, but it tells you exactly what's happening. So it's saying there's a traceback happening, and you'll see this when there's errors. The most recent, I don't really understand. It doesn't matter. Okay. What matters here is it's telling you the document that you're looking at. So it's this document, hello world. That's the one we're literally editing right now and writing in. And what line it is. Okay, so this fucking sucks because I fucked it up and now we're not using idle, and I'll try to fix that. But so VS Code is really good. It's free. I honestly would recommend downloading VS Code and using it. Idle's fine though too, especially if you're using Windows. It's nice because you can see the line numbers, and if you're good with things like Vim or VI or Nano, they all, well, Vim at least supports line numbers. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's totally fine. It's the scope for not in the scope of this lesson here. So line 16, line 36 is where the issue is, and it's saying this. Now I know where this is. I pointed this out, but if you have a long document, a long piece of code, you might not know where the fuck it is. Maybe there's like redundant things, so you're like, well, I did this, but like which? Okay, so here it is. It's telling you what line it is, and it's telling you it's a type error. So data types, that's what type error means, at least in this context. And it's telling you specifically what's going on. So unsupported operand, so an operator, so which is this, so the plus, which can be used for adding, like regular adding numbers, or concatenation, which is like adding strings together. We did talk about this last week. Now, it's saying for int and string, or for integer and string, int and st. I don't like that they abbreviate like this, but whatever, it's fine. So string is just anything with quotes around it. And we discussed this last week, and feel free to ask questions in the chat or as a comment on YouTube, whatever. I'll try to explain it better, but basically it's just, it's encapsulated in quotations. This is a string right here. In quotes, this is also a string. You can see I'm adding them. I'm concatenating two strings together, and it'll output hello space world. Because there's a space right here in that part of the string encapsulated within the quotation marks. Whereas these are just numbers, there's no quotation marks there. And it's saying they're different data types, man. You can't just add them. And it's saying, bro, like don't do that. I'm like, oh, okay, I got you. So that means that what I have to do is something, right? What do I have to do? Well, if I make them the same type, then they'll work together nice. Now, if I want them to just be like, okay, say the string, I think I did this. Okay, so this is a string, but it has the number 12 in it, written with the characters 1, 2, right? Actual numbers, not spelled out 12, TWE, all that shit, okay? So I can evaluate that as a number. And that's kind of what you can do with this thing that I think is called casting, but what you're doing is you're just turning one data type into another data type. Now you can't turn you can't turn letters into numbers. Sort of. We'll not worry about that. That's chars or characters, because they have ASCII values. I mean, everything is a number in computers. Everything is a number. But we'll not worry about that right now. And the point is that what you need to do is put these two data types together. And I want to, what do I want to do? Okay, I want to say this number. So I just need it to be a string. I just need to see the number and then say something about it, which what I'm saying is it's even. And there's a space there so they're not smushed up against each other. So what I'm going to do is it's really nice in Python because you can just do this to cast it. And so now it's going to be counted as a string. So it's basically a function, just like print is a function, and type is a function, and then you put the parentheses around the thing that you want to do whatever the function does to it. And we can go over how to build functions. It's really straightforward, but we're not going to do that in this one. And so you say, okay, I want this number, whatever this number is going to be. It's going to be each one of these at some point. Well, each one of these that's even, at least, because that's the condition here, right? To print out and then come next to this letter here. So what we'll do is did I save it? I saved it. Okay. We'll do it again, and now you can see. So 2 is even, 4 is even, 6 is even, and then 1. Now, why is it doing that? Okay, these are all the. I mean, I guess I could have made this more clear, right? So we can do this again. We can say. And we'll have to cast this as well. So string num plus, I'll put a space in here. I have to explicitly put these things in there, and then a string of the output of this function. We'll save it again, and this will make this more clear. Okay. Maybe we should actually talk about what's happening. Remainder of. That's not super clear, but it's clearer. Okay, so these numbers are even, and then 7 has a remainder of 1. See, and I don't know, that's not right, is it? It's been so long since I've done math, I can't even remember. It doesn't really matter. I was just kind of curious about it, but this is what is getting output. The number 1 is getting output when you do a modulus command of 2 on these numbers. And okay, that does make sense. That actually 100% makes sense because you have this remainder of 1. I think it has to do with places. Is that right? No, because they're all in the ones place. But those are all odd, and that's really ouch. Anyway. That's what this does. Okay, and it's doing that because it's looking at it. It's doing this division. That's 3.5. So the only whole number is 3. But you have some decimal 0.5. All these are actually going to have that 0.5. That's just going to be 0.5. 2.5, 4.5, etc. 5.5, right? And this 1 is just representative of that. There's a reason it's mathematically a 1. I just can't think of it. I don't remember what that is. But that's how you would detect that. So, I know I just did a lot. There's a lot of different things going on here. It's good to break into these and look at them and think about them. Since we're getting close to the end of this part of the stream, I'm going to close this and I want to show you the SSH stuff. Because I can't believe I didn't think about looking into services. But really quick, let's see. So we briefly reviewed this, what we did last week. And then we went ahead and made a list. I just called it my list. We put numbers in it. It was a list of numbers. We iterated over the list with a for each loop, which is what this is. And so that's a conditional loop. We'll go into more loop stuff next week. Actually, I think that'll be a good idea, and maybe dive into types a little bit more deeply. Maybe Nimue will help out. Okay, and then we did another condition. We evaluated the evenness. This is basically standard programming to evaluate if something's even. So num representing the number, and we get that from here. We're iterating over this list, and we're saying, you know, if this number modulus 2 is 0, then it's even, and we're just going to declare that. You know, we say 2 is even, and that's happening here. And now if I didn't have this space here, we went over this last week, it would just be 2, no space here is even, and that would look awkward, right? So you have to be very explicit with coding. Frameworks help with that, obviously. I mean, all the stuff I'm using is kind of a module of something else someone else built. I went over that a little bit last week. And then otherwise, it's even, it's odd. And I mean, we don't say that, but we could say it's odd. Like, I could just write this out and say, instead of showing us what it is, that it has a remainder, we could say is an odd number. Save that. You gotta save it. And then just run it. Yeah. So I need to have. Oh, so here's another good example of something that, like, you know, you fat finger some, you forget some. It's telling you exactly. And again, I don't have the line numbers, but I know where that's at. I mean, I literally just edited it, and it's telling you here. So in this file, the one that we're working on, hello world .py, on this line, this statement, so it's telling you exactly where it is, and it's pointing out to you, okay, and it tells you exactly what's wrong too. It's very nice there. So it's saying syntax error. Yes, it's a syntax error. I mean, just because it says that doesn't necessarily mean it is a syntax error. Probably is going to be a syntax error. Unterminated string literal, and it's detecting it here, and you can see it's like, okay, so you started the string and then it's not terminated, so you have to full quotes around something. You can't just have a single quote, obviously. Then there's like no boundary. It makes intuitive sense. I correct the problem, I run it again, and now we have our output. Bam. Cool. Okay, so let's get out of this. Thank you, Nimue. So I can't believe I couldn't figure this out before. I did. I was super excited about that. So I can SSH into this thing now. Well, actually, right now I won't be able to. So it's going to give me an error. Should give me an error. Did I re-enable it? Okay, well now it's not even giving me the same error. I think it's because it already did it once, so it doesn't think that it's going to get reset an RST code, but it is. So it wasn't the firewall, because like we looked at this the other week, like a month ago, and I was like, I swear to God, like this, the port's open. Local port 22, that's the right one. That's at least the standard. I mean, you can change it to different ports if you want to. And it's running. It's enabled. You know, it's set to the action is allow. It's not deny. It looked all good, and I even just went as far as to turn off the firewall itself. It's like, what the fuck? It's not working. It's because the service wasn't running. So it wasn't the firewall. And I will do like I'll re-image this thing. I'll just wipe this, revert it, and then we can go back over it. I'll make like a better video. But it was just the service. It wasn't running. It was just nothing. It was stopped. So I started the service. Now it's running. So services is a UI that's native to Windows, and if you're familiar with Linux, it's like it's the same as services in there, or at least for Ubuntu. Ubuntu has a services thing going on. And now we run it, and it asked for, because the first time you do, it'll ask you this whole yes or no thing, and you just say yes, press enter, oops, and then I put in the password, which is password. This is just a test box. It's not a real computer, and it works. So now I am literally inside of this thing. So I'm gonna cd, I'm gonna change directory into the desktop. Cool. Okay, I can't use ls, even though on a Mac I can, because now I'm inside of Windows, so I use dir for directory, and I can see all the stuff that's here. I'm gonna make there. I think. Well, okay, we'll just echo hello there into hello dude.txt, and watch on the desktop. Bam, magic. And like, these aren't connected. This is a virtual machine that I'm running on the local computer on the bare metal, but it's not like, you know. And that's what's cool about using SSH. I think it's a great way to manage endpoints, and it works cool. I could, like, you know, I could totally hack the box now. I'm gonna delete the document. Hello, dude. Oh yeah. Okay. I just ruined. You know. Oh, I'm gonna delete system 32. Okay. I'm just kind of being stupid at this point. But yeah. So yeah, you get the idea. We'll probably go deeper into this. And again, like always, if you have further questions, feel free to slap them in the chat. No, it's about to end. Or the comments if I'm on YouTube. Hope you guys have a great Saturday. I'm gonna go play some StarCraft. And yeah. Peace.